From I-526 to the City of Charleston apologizing for its role in slavery, I sit down exclusively with Post and Courier columnist and author Brian Hicks for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Brian Hicks, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you again, too.
I appreciate this greatly.
No.
Oh, anytime. There's so much to talk about right now. Let me take you to Columbia. We were just talking about that just a second ago. Leon Stavanac, state representative for Charleston County, basically said this on Twitter. He said this quote, South Carolina House and Senate finalized over $250 million in ratepayer relief for defrauded scanner customers. When you hear that, what sticks out in your mind?
I think that's great. I wish we could get the rest. It's not Leon's fault.
Right.
But he would like to have more.
Right.
I think, and I hadn't been following it closely this afternoon, but I think they did about as well as they could, because the House and the Senate were pretty far apart on this. The Senate was wanting to cut those rates by 5%, and the House wanted to go all the way to the 18% that they've been charging. So I think it turned out about as good as it can get, but this is all subject to change in December when the PSC meets.
That's true. And also from Fitz News, it says this: budget deal reached. Budget deal. Why did it take so long?
There's so many moving parts in that budget, so many different issues, and so many different people who want different things. I don't know. This is kind of late for them, though, and I've been kind of distracted and haven't watched them closely. But they are cutting it kind of close. I mean, we're the end of the fiscal year is what?
July
this weekend?
Right.
This weekend?
Right.
I don't know, but it gets harder and harder to get a deal up there.
Let me stay in Columbia. Obviously, Henry McMaster is now the Republican nominee for the gubernatorial race, and now he's on to face James Smith, the current state representative, Democrat from Richland County, in November. How did he win? Henry, that is.
I don't know for sure. I guess I shouldn't I? I think certainly President Trump's support helped him, but I also think that the governor's got a lot of goodwill in the party. He's been around for a long time. I wrote a column the other week about how this was kind of new era guy, this John Warren versus old school Henry McMaster, and I think there's name recognition. He has the benefit of having the job right now, and honestly, I think in the runoff debate he did a wonderful job. I was surprised. I've known Governor McMaster for 20 years, and I was impressed with his debate performance last week. And I don't know if that pushed him over the top or what, or just that he knows everybody. And John Warren and him, they differed very little on policy, but it was just their kind of mannerism. Warren wanted to go and fight in the legislature, which plays well with the voters. I'm not surprised he did well, but McMaster had a much better, you're not going to, you're taking a knife to a gunfight when you're going against the legislature as a governor. I think Henry's methods are going to be much more successful than a Governor Warren's would have been.
So we're heading into that general election. What should he do next?
Well, I personally think that he should get the SIP board to finish 526. I don't know. I don't see this as being one of those typical campaigns where after the primary everybody tacks to the center. I don't see McMaster changing his tune at all, and I honestly don't see Representative Smith changing his tune at all. They've been pretty consistent throughout. It's going to be an interesting race because although McMaster has staked out that ground to Trump's to the Trump voters, to the kind of the right of center, he's always been considered a fairly moderate guy by party people. I mean, he's been around for a long time, going back to the Reagan years. But at the same time, James Smith is not your garden variety Democrat either. I mean, this is a military veteran, went to Afghanistan. He's a very centrist Democrat. Could be an interesting race, especially given national trends.
And let me get back to Charleston. It is obviously, you just mentioned it a second ago, and it's 526. Is it dead or is it alive?
Oh, it's never dead. It's never dead. 526 has been kicking around since the 70s. The county officials that I have spoken to, obviously they're trying to make this sound as good as they can, but they say that this was the best possible outcome. Instead of hanging out in limbo, they know where they stand. And actually they've known where they stood with the State Infrastructure Bank for years. Certain members of the board wanted to take Charleston's money and they didn't want to build the road. And now they've kind of forced their hand. And it was interesting that the governor came out a month ago, gave his support to the project,
right.
And then when he's in the middle of a tight runoff on Tuesday, his appointees vote to renege on his promise. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in a few days. I think that the governor's office is going to step in and try to do something. The county obviously has several options, including in the courts.
That's what I hear.
But I don't think this is not dead by a long shot.
And let me stay here in Charleston. Obviously, last week was another interesting meeting at the Charleston City Council, so Charleston City Hall. Obviously, Charleston basically apologized for its role in slavery. Why now?
Well, it's long overdue, but why now? I don't know. Someone asked me that very question, and I said, well, you know what? This is a town that was built on slave labor, and in a year or two, we're going to have an African American History Museum opening up, and I think it would be in poor taste to be making money off this tourism and not acknowledge the city's role in that in that practice. I'm just unhappy to see that it was not a unanimous vote. I understand some people say I don't want to apologize for something that I wasn't a part of. I understand that was their argument. But we're not talking about individuals here. We're talking about the city as an institution and how it helped the industry, if you will, of slavery. And so I think it was an appropriate thing to do. I think the fact that there was so much division about it says that it was not only overdue, but it's something that needs to be talked about.
And something that everybody's talking about right now, and she's really 2 blocks away from here, is Katy Arrington. When you think of her and what happened to her, what sticks out in your mind right now?
This is just how common it is. I mean, this happens to people all the time, and here is somebody who obviously well known and in the news, and going down to Hilton Head for an event, and you can get in a life-threatening traffic accident. It's horrible. It's a reminder about how much precaution people need to take, and it's safety of our roads. I mean, the fact that this car was able to cross over and be on the wrong side of 17 is pretty bad. But it just, it's something that happens every day. It just this time it happened to somebody that a lot of people happen to know who she is.
And where does she go from here, right after rehab and physical therapy and whatnot? Where does her campaign go?
I don't know. I think that's. I'm not a doctor. I hate to say that. If she can recover, she's young and fit, and if she can bounce back, I think the campaign goes on as normal. Some of the things I've heard, make me worry that perhaps it's going to take her longer than she thinks to get back. But I don't see this changing much of anything as long as she can get back on the campaign trail. I thought it was interesting that her opponent stopped campaigning. It was only polite. We don't see much of that in politics. Not much civility. Of course, it's funny for some people to be asking for civility when they've spent the last couple of years urging their supporters to beat up people at, campaign rallies. Sorry, I got off the track.
Oh, no, you're fine. I just let you talk. I just like hearing you. So from now until the general election, what else can we expect from South Carolina politics?
Wow, I wish I knew that. I think, it'll probably be dead until after Labor Day. And you'll see it pick up then. But I don't really see a lot changing. The governor's race is going to be, the most interesting thing around here, other than, when the first congressional district resumes. It's going to be interesting to see how McMaster handles the 526 deal.
Okay.
Already, I've had Democrats saying to me that, here's a campaign issue for James Smith. The governor can't keep his appointees in line. And we'll see. We'll see what he does there.
Brian Hicks, thank you so much for your time. I really, really, really appreciate this.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.